Some people don't want your company. They want your energy, your time, your usefulness. They only appear when it benefits them, never when you're the one in need. You'll recognize them by the way they ask for favors, sweet voices, nice words, even fake concern. But the truth is their kindness is a transaction. It's not about connection, it's about control. Trust gets tested when you say no. That's when their mask slips. Imagine being a candle. You burn yourself to give others light, warmth and comfort. But who notices when you start melting? Who stays when you're down to nothing but smoke? Most just move on and find another flame to drain. Or picture a strong tree in summer. Everyone wants to sit in its shade. But when winter comes, when the branches are bare and dry, no one waters it. No one cares. That's how people treat those who are always giving. And if you're always available, always saying yes, they'll never stop asking. They'll never appreciate you, only expect you. But the moment you stop giving, that's when everything changes. That's when you see who's real and who was just there for the benefits. Some will distance themselves, others will get angry, and a few will disappear altogether. That's not a loss, that's clarity. So here's the real question. Would they still be around if you had nothing left to offer? Because true loyalty doesn't vanish when you stop saying yes. Manipulation does. In this video, we'll break down 7 types of favors you should never trust. They may seem small, they may sound innocent, but they're red flags in disguise. And the last one, it reveals everything they've been hiding. Let's begin. Number 1, don't hand them the pen to rewrite your character. There's a moment when someone looks you in the eye and says, "Can you lie for me?" It might sound innocent, a small favor, a harmless cover-up. But behind that casual tone is something far more dangerous. It's not just a request, it's a doorway. And the moment you step through it, you leave a part of yourself behind. They'll frame it gently. "It's just a white lie," they'll say. No big deal. Maybe they want you to say they were with you when they weren't. Maybe they need you to cover for them at work. Maybe they want you to slightly tweak a story to make them look better. But here's the truth. Anyone who's comfortable asking you to lie for them is already showing you the limits of their integrity. And if they're willing to bend the truth to serve themselves, what makes you think they won't bend the truth about you? The Stoics understood this well. Epictetus once said, "It is better to fail in truth than to succeed in falsehood." Because truth is a discipline, a mirror you hold up to yourself every day. Once that mirror cracks, even slightly, your reflection starts to blur. The more you lie for others, the less clearly you see yourself. And worse, the less others can trust what they see in you. You might wonder, what if I'm just helping a friend? That's the trap. Real friends don't ask you to compromise your integrity. They ask for support, not deceit. Helping someone shouldn't cost you your character. The moment you lie for someone, you're not just protecting them, you're joining their deception. You become part of their story, and if that story goes wrong, you're the one holding the pen when it does. I remember someone named Jake who dealt with this. A friend of his often asked for small favors, nothing too serious at first. Say I was sick, or tell them I sent that file. Jake didn't think much of it, until one day that friend made a serious mistake at work and wanted Jake to lie to cover it up. That's when Jake realized this wasn't friendship, it was convenience. And when he finally refused, that so-called friend turned cold, calling him disloyal and selfish. But the truth was obvious. The moment Jake stopped being useful, he stopped being wanted. This is why you have to protect your line. You don't need to argue, explain, or feel guilty. Just say, "I don't lie for anyone." That alone will reveal everything you need to know about the person standing in front of you. Watch how they react. If they try to push, manipulate, or guilt you, that's not someone who respects you. That's someone who wants to use you. Your integrity is not a favor. It's your foundation. Once it cracks, everything you built on top of it begins to fall, and those who ask you to lie for them now will have no problem lying about you later. Honest people never ask you to betray yourself, so don't hand someone else the pen to rewrite your character. Keep your name clean, even if it means walking alone. If this spoke to you, like this video, subscribe for more, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Number 2, don't let them pick your pockets with a smile. There's a certain kind of person who doesn't just borrow money, they borrow your trust, your kindness, your silence, and they never return any of it. It starts small, a story, a struggle, a heartfelt, "I'm just going through something." They tell you it's temporary. They'll pay you back next week. They swear they would do the same for you. And in that moment, you want to believe them. You want to be the good friend, the helpful one. But this isn't about money. It never is. It's about character. When someone borrows money with no intention of repaying it, they're not just asking for help. They're revealing how little they respect you, because someone who takes without guilt will take anything. Your time, your energy, your patience. And if they can smile while taking your money, knowing they'll never return it, what else are they capable of? Seneca once said, "A loan creates not gratitude, but an enemy." And he was right. The moment money enters a relationship, the rules change. At first, they're grateful. Then, they start avoiding you. Suddenly, your generosity becomes an inconvenience to them. They act like you're the one crossing the line when you ask for it back. They'll say things like, "You have enough? Why are you stressing?" Or, "Stop bringing it up. I said I'd pay you." But those are just distractions. The truth is, the moment they borrowed with no intent to return it, they made it clear. You were just a wallet to them with a heartbeat. I knew someone like that. A man named David had a friend who often borrowed small amounts, $20 here, $50 there. It never felt like a big deal. But over time, David noticed a pattern. The money never came back, not once. And every time he asked, the answer was vague. Soon. Next week. I didn't forget. But soon never came. Then one day, that friend asked for a much larger sum. That's when David said no. And just like that, the friendship vanished. No argument, no explanation, just silence. That was the moment David realized it had never been about friendship. It had been about access. And when the access was denied, the connection disappeared. You might ask, what if they really needed it? That's fair. But a person who truly values you will also value the help you give. They will pay you back. They'll communicate. They'll care. It's not about the amount. It's about the effort to make it right. So what do? You stay grounded in reality. If you give money, treat it as a gift. Never expect it back, unless the person has shown you they're responsible. And if someone avoids repaying a debt or guilt trips you for asking, know this: they never intended to return it. That wasn't kindness. That was quiet manipulation. In the end, money doesn't change people. It just reveals them. A person who borrows and vanishes was never loyal. They were just shopping for benefits. Protect your peace, because if they don't respect a simple debt, they'll never respect your worth. And some pockets are better kept closed, especially when the hand reaching in is smiling. Number 3. Don't be the blanket that covers their mess. There's a favor that feels harmless at first, but can quietly pull you into someone else's chaos. It begins with 5 simple words. Can you keep this a secret? Most people don't ask that to protect something beautiful. They ask it to hide something broken. Maybe it's a mistake they made at work. Maybe it's a lie they told someone else. Maybe it's something darker, something they don't want traced back to them. And they look at you with pleading eyes and say, "Come on, you're my friend. Just keep this between us." But that's not friendship, that's recruitment. Because when someone asks you to keep a secret that protects wrongdoing, they're not just asking for your silence, they're asking for your integrity. And once you say yes, you're no longer just a bystander. You become a part of the lie, a silent partner in their deception. You might wonder, isn't it loyal to keep a friend's secret? Only if that secret doesn't come at the cost of your conscience. Because if the truth ever comes out, and it usually does, you don't just risk their reputation, you risk yours. People who pull you into their secrets rarely shield you when things fall apart. If they were willing to deceive others, what makes you think they won't sacrifice you to save themselves? Marcus Aurelius once said, "Silence becomes cowardice when occasion demands speaking the whole truth." There are moments when staying quiet is not neutral. It's betrayal, not just betrayal of others, but of yourself. Stoic philosophy teaches that integrity must outweigh comfort, and covering for someone else's mess may feel easier in the moment, but it erodes you piece by piece. I remember a woman named Sarah who learned this the hard way. A co-worker of hers, let's call him Ryan, had been slacking off and asked her to lie to their manager, to say he'd been working late when he hadn't. Sarah hesitated, but didn't want to start drama, so she agreed. It felt small, but that small lie became a pattern. A few weeks later, he asked again, then again. The favors grew heavier, and one day, when their manager uncovered the truth, Ryan denied everything, and Sarah took the fall too. That's the problem with protecting someone else's dishonesty. It doesn't stop at one favor. It becomes a slow erosion of boundaries, a quiet habit of betrayal. And the worst part, the people who ask you to carry their secrets will often abandon you when it costs them something. So ask yourself, if someone truly respects you, why would they ask you to risk your values for their mistakes? Real friends don't put you in that position. They don't drag you into the dark and call it loyalty. At the end of the day, secrets that hide harm aren't harmless. Lies don't stay small. And when you protect one, you become part of all the ones that follow. Don't be the blanket that covers their mess, because once you do, they'll keep spilling and expect you to keep cleaning. Number 4, don't be the fall guy in someone else's circus. There's a certain kind of person who will break something, step back, and then ask you to hold the pieces. They'll look you in the eye and say, "Can you take the blame for me?" And they'll dress it up with friendly words. "It's just this once." Or, "I'd do it for you." But behind those words is a simple truth. They made a mess, and they want you to clean it up while they stay spotless. At first, it may seem harmless. Maybe they forgot a task at work, missed a deadline, or caused a little drama in a social setting. And instead of owning it, They come to you. You're understanding, they think. You won't mind. But this isn't a favor. This is a trap. The moment you agree, you're no longer helping. You're enabling. You become their shield, their escape plan. And once they realize you'll take the hit, they'll never stand in front of the bullet themselves again. You might think, what's the harm? It's just once. But here's the thing. People who avoid responsibility once will avoid it forever. As Seneca wisely put it, a dishonest man always blames circumstances, never himself. And that's the kind of person who asks others to carry the consequences of their actions. They don't see mistakes as lessons. They see them as burdens to hand off. A man I knew, let's call him Alex, learned this the hard way. He had a co-worker who always dodged blame. One day, the guy botched a project badly. Instead of admitting it, he spun the story and asked Alex to say it was a communication error between them. Alex agreed, wanting to be a team player. But that one cover-up turned into a pattern. Every failure, every slip was pinned on him. And when management finally lost patience, it wasn't the manipulator who took the fall. It was Alex. His reputation took the hit. And the worst part? The co-worker didn't even flinch. No apology, no defense, just silence. That's when Alex realized something painful but true. People who ask you to carry their blame will never carry your pain. They'll walk away clean while you drown in consequences. So what should you do when someone tries to hand you the blame? Say no, immediately, without guilt, without explanation. I'm not responsible for your mistakes is a complete sentence. And then, watch what happens. If they push back, if they guilt-trip you, if they get angry, that's your proof. They never respected you. They just used you. Real strength isn't about being agreeable. It's about standing your ground. People who run from accountability will always look for someone else to hide behind. Don't let that someone be you. Because the moment you carry someone else's dishonesty, you're no longer just involved, you're responsible. And in their circus of chaos, you become the clown who takes the fall. Never let someone else write your failure into their story. Let them stand in their own shadow. Number 5. Don't be the free tap everyone drinks from. There's a kind of favor that wears a friendly mask, but drains you slowly. It sounds innocent. Can you do this for free? A quick task, a small favor, a little help. At first, you don't think twice. You're kind. You're capable. You're happy to lend a hand. But the second time comes, then the third. Then it becomes a pattern. And suddenly, you're not helping out of kindness anymore. You're helping out of guilt, out of habit, out of someone else's entitlement. People like this aren't asking because they admire your skills or respect your time. They're asking because they know you won't say no. You've been marked as dependable, and now they depend on you for everything, except gratitude. You might ask, but isn't it good to be generous? Yes, generosity is powerful when it's a choice, not a contract. But when someone keeps taking without giving anything back, not even respect, you're not being generous anymore. You're being used. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Do not waste yourself in rejection. Do not throw away your days in useless resentment. Your time, your energy, your talent, these are your currency. When you hand them out to people who don't value them, you're not just wasting your effort. You're slowly building quiet resentment. And resentment always comes when effort is unappreciated. Think of yourself as a well, a deep one. People can come and drink from it. That's fine. That's good. But if they keep coming back, day after day, bucket after bucket, never giving thanks, never helping refill it. Eventually the well runs dry, and no one stops to ask why. A woman I knew, Emily, was a gifted graphic designer. A friend asked for a free logo, and she gladly helped. Then came another request, and another. "It's just one more thing," they'd say. She kept agreeing, thinking friendship meant saying yes. But when she finally hinted that her work had value, her friend snapped, "Wow, I thought we were friends." That sentence hit harder than any invoice, because it wasn't friendship, it was convenience. That's when Emily realized something. Real friends honor your skills. Users only honor what they can take. So how do you deal with this? You set the boundary, not with anger, just with clarity. My time has value. That sentence alone will divide your circle. Some will respect you more, others will disappear. Let them. Because the ones who leave weren't friends, they were clients who never wanted to pay. Helping others should never come at the cost of draining yourself. Be generous, yes, but be discerning. Because when someone constantly expects free labor, they're not seeing your heart. They're seeing a resource, a tool, a shortcut. And that's not a relationship. That's exploitation. You are not a free tap for anyone to drink from forever. Respect your worth. And don't apologize for turning off the flow when people forget it was a gift all along. Number 6, don't be their human shield. When they duck responsibility, there's a favor that looks like support, but feels like weight. It sounds simple enough. Can you cover for me? But behind that question is often a pattern, not a one-time ask. It starts with little things. Maybe they were late and needed you to clock them in. Maybe they forgot a task and asked you to say it was your fault. Maybe they just didn't feel like doing something and decided you'd be the one to pick up the slack. It might feel like being a good friend, a helpful co-worker, a supportive partner, but over time, that help becomes expectation, and you become the backup plan. Here's the truth. People who consistently ask you to cover for them aren't asking for support. They're asking for escape. And the more you say yes, the more they treat your time, your energy, and your reliability like tools they can use whenever they please. You might ask yourself, what's the harm in helping someone out? The harm is subtle. The more you shield someone from the consequences of their actions, the less they learn. You absorb the damage so they can walk away clean. And when the blame comes, and it will, guess who stands in the fire while they walk free? Epictetus said, "The more we value things outside our control, the less control we have." You can't control how irresponsible someone else is, but you can control whether or not you keep catching the falling pieces they keep dropping. If you keep showing up for someone who refuses to show up for themselves, you lose control of your peace, your priorities, and eventually, your reputation. Let me tell you about Adam. Good guy, hardworking. He had a co-worker who always had an excuse. "Can you clock me in? Can you finish this part of the report? I've got too much on my plate." Adam thought he was being a team player, so he kept helping. Until one day, a major error was found in a report, and suddenly, it was Adam's fault. The same co-worker who always needed saving didn't hesitate to throw him under the bus. Adam handled that part. He said, "No accountability, no loyalty, just escape." That's when Adam learned a hard truth. Being helpful to the wrong people makes you the problem when things go wrong, not them. So what do you do when someone asks you to cover for them? You say no, clearly, without guilt. I can't do that. You owe no explanation for protecting your boundaries. And then, pay attention. If they get angry, if they push, if they guilt-trip you, it means they weren't asking for help. They were expecting obedience. Being dependable is a strength. But if you let others exploit that strength, it becomes your weakness. Responsibility isn't something you can transfer. If someone refuses to carry their share, they have no business walking beside you. Don't be the human shield for someone who's too afraid to take the hit. You weren't made to carry someone else's mess while they run from their own life. Don't be the one who jumps while they just watch. There's a special kind of danger in people who convince you to take the leap while they stay on solid ground. They'll whisper, "Trust me, this will be worth it," or "Take one for the team." But when the risk backfires, they vanish. No apology, no support, just silence, and you're left holding the bag. These are not partners. They're spectators. People who want the reward without the responsibility. They push you to risk your time, your reputation, your finances, even your peace, while they remain untouched. And if things go south, they'll act like they had nothing to do with it. That's not trust. That's manipulation. You might wonder, but what if they really believe in the idea? Then ask yourself, why aren't they standing beside me in the fire? Because belief without commitment is just talk. Seneca once said, "The willing are led by fate. The unwilling are dragged by it." When you take risks for others who won't lift a finger, you're no longer leading your life. You're being dragged through theirs. I remember a man named Ryan. His friend always had big dreams, bold business plans, but he never put anything in. No money, no time, no risk. It was always Ryan who invested. And when it failed, that friend simply shrugged and said, "Oh, you didn't have to do it." That was the truth. Ryan didn't have to. But he believed, and he learned. So here's your reminder. If someone isn't willing to stand in the fire with you, don't let them hand you the torch. Real loyalty walks beside you, not behind you. If they ask you to risk everything while they risk nothing, walk away. Your future is too valuable to gamble on someone else's comfort. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more.